This is Breezy, the indie game I released back in 2023. It's basically golf, but you play as the wind. I spent 2 years working on Breezy, and making devlogs about it, which you can watch here, until I eventually released it on Steam, where you should totally go buy it. Unfortunately, the game didn't catch on, and I haven't even made back the $100 I spent to put it on Steam. But, in order to try and milk some cash out of this game, I'm relaunching it with some updates. My goal is to add multiplayer, along with 2 brand new courses, then go crazy with the marketing and use one of my Steam update visibility rounds. I've been working on this relaunch since the game came out, and progress has been slow, very slow actually, but steady. So far I've gotten the basics of multiplayer in, along with the first new course, the Ancient Pyramid. That course is full of slow-paced puzzles and a few exciting set pieces, so I want the second of the 2 courses to be more action-packed, so that the game ends off with a bang. So how do you make golf fast-paced? I thought about adding guns, but I didn't want to up the game's age rating. I also considered adding enemies, like skeletons you'd have to bounce on, but there's not much you can do with that for 18 holes. I do like the idea of a weapon though. If we can't have guns, well, the game already kinda looks like Zelda if you squint, so let's add a sword. In fact, we can make it a katana and do a whole Imperial Japan theme. I actually had this idea around the same time I thought of the Ancient Pyramid, since that one uses an Egyptian theme. I enjoy playing with these caricatured versions of existing cultures, since nobody's expecting a cartoon golf game to be realistic. So this sarcophagus is relaxing by the beach with an umbrella, and a golf ball can wield a katana. So I'm all in here, let's make this thing. How exactly does a golf ball use a sword? As you might know, Breezy only uses one main button for gameplay, the hit button, which is space on the keyboard. Along with the arrow keys or joystick, these are the only things you use for regular gameplay. I don't want this sword mechanic to introduce any extra controls, so we'll have to stick to those minimal options. I eventually settled on this system. The katana orbits around the ball and points in the direction being pressed on the arrow keys, so if you hold right, the katana points to the right. And if you press the hit button, in midair, you slice with the katana. I want to keep it nice and snappy, so you'd slice almost instantly with a longer follow-through. This dovetails nicely into a lot of other mechanics. Besides the obvious one, cutting through objects, you could have something like the Pokio from Mario Odyssey, where you cut into something, then use the sword as a lever to propel yourself, or even something like Spectre Knight's gameplay in Shovel Knight, where you're propelled towards the thing you hit. But before we add any fun mechanics, we have to model the thing ding. So I hopped into Blender, deleted the default cube, added another cube, and shaped it out into a sword. It's nice and low poly like the rest of the assets, and I made sure to scale it just right. Then I dropped that model into Unity and got it orbiting around our ball. For the sword's collider, you'd think it should look roughly like this, a tight cube around the sword, but it actually looks like this. It extends super far upwards, downwards, and to the side. Out to the side because the swinging animation only lasts 1 frame, but I want it to look like the sword is still passing through a full range of motion. Upwards and downwards because the game uses a top-down perspective. If it looks roughly like you're on the same level as an obstacle, you want to be able to slice through it, even if you're not really on the same level. You would only notice if you turn the camera, which plenty of people won't do. So with the katana pretty much done, let's make some levels to slice through. I had drawn up a very simple diagram for one of these levels in what I call the Special Shrine course. As you can see, we've got the ball, katana, and flag, along with some Japanese lanterns and a cherry blossom tree. I have plans for those lanterns, so we'll come back to those in a minute. I want to start by making a wood panel we can cut through. So I got some cubes, stretched them out, and added some line renderers that fade out, giving them the appearance of stretching into the distance. So now we have a hanging wood panel. I added a script that detects when the katana's collider is near, that makes all the wooden planks fly out. The level's looking a little bare though. For the skybox, I used a nice dark gray on the underside to contrast the brown wooden texture I used for the ground. Let's also add that cherry blossom tree. Starting with the cube, we can distort some of the faces so it looks more warped and natural, then cut out some branches using the knife tool. I drew this very basic cherry blossom texture in GIMP and scattered these in the branches, and now we have a pretty passable tree. For a little extra credit, I made the leaves blow in the wind like the bushes in the grass course. You can't cut down the tree since that would have to involve some fudging with the model, but I might consider it in the future. To make up for it though, you can do this. I also added some little cherry blossom piles to place near the trees for further decoration. Here I want to add some additional wooden fences that can't be sliced through, to act as barriers. I used a darker wood texture and modeled up a log to act as a corner piece between these fences. The last thing to add was these red lanterns. I call them stop lanterns because if you slice them, you get stuck and have to press the hit button again to launch yourself in another direction. Kind of like the aforementioned Pokio from Mario Odyssey. So you can hit this lantern, launch forward, then hit this one and launch to the side. Since the lanterns are already red, I decided to model them after stop signs, so I put the text you find on Japanese stop signs. I made 5 levels for the course already. The first one is just a single wood panel to get players adjusted to the sword. The second one ups the ante with a few more panels, giving the player a chance to experiment. The third one introduces the lanterns, the fourth one gives another more challenging test with them, and the fifth one introduces elements from the city course, specifically these moving platforms. I like having elements from 2 different courses interact, since it opens up more gameplay options without having to develop even more elements. But that's all I've done so far. As I mentioned, work is pretty slow. I want to get the special shrine done this summer, along with some good progress on the multiplayer. If all goes well, the relaunch should be out by Christmas, and I should be ready to move on to the next game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For this course, I'd like to add another unique gameplay element, perhaps some dash lanterns that replicate that Spectre Knight gameplay I mentioned earlier. I also think it'd be fun to end this course off with another boss fight, like I did with the city course. As for the multiplayer I mentioned, that comes with some unique design challenges, and the next devlog will probably be about some of those. So I'll be here plugging away on Breezy. Remember to buy the game on Steam and tune in next time for the Game Dev Journey Part 5. Have a good day.